Good evening and welcome to World in Focus. From deadly storms and tragic rail disasters to diplomatic shifts and visa policy shakeups, we are tracking headlines that span continents and carry consequences far beyond their borders. Let's get started with the top stories of the day. Typhoon Kalmaegi has claimed at least 66 lives in the Philippines as rescue teams race against time in the hardest hit province of Cebu. The aftermath is devastating, homes flattened, roads buried under debris, and thousands displaced. The Talisay city residents are returning to what's left of their neighborhoods. As the country mourns, the storm now heads towards Vietnam, where authorities are preparing for landfall later this week. At least 11 people have died after a passenger train collided with a cargo train in central India's Chhattisgarh state. The crash occurred near the city of Bilaspur, about 115 kilometers from Raipur. Officials say the passenger train hit the cargo train from behind, causing one of its carriages to mount a freight wagon. Rescue workers have been on site since Tuesday afternoon, searching for survivors and clearing the mangled remains of the trains. Investigators are now looking into whether signaling errors or human negligence led to the disaster. The United States has called on the UN Security Council to lift sanctions on Syria's President Ahmad al-Shara and his Interior Minister Anas Khattab.
And as you may know, today President Trump will issue a new executive order lifting U.S. sanctions on Syria, reaffirming his belief that the Syrian people deserve a future of safety and prosperity. This policy reflects the president's conviction that American leadership can unlock new paths to regional stability.
A vote is expected later this week on a US drafted resolution that has been significantly softened after weeks of negotiation. Washington warns the measure passed before President al-Shara's planned visit to the US on Monday, a move that could mark a turning point in the international community's stance towards Damascus. Diplomats say the proposal reflects Washington's cautious effort to re-engage with Syria while balancing concerns from European allies. Now for tonight's deep dive, a story stirring strong reactions across India and beyond. Why is Canada considering the power to mass cancel temporary visas, and why are Indians at the center of it? According to a CBC News investigation citing internal government documents, Canada's immigration authorities, along with the US and the Canada Border Services Agency, have formed a working group to identify and revoke temporary visas from countries facing what they call specific challenges. Chief among them are India and Bangladesh. The move is part of pending legislation under Bill C-12, currently before Canada's Parliament. If passed, it would give immigration authorities sweeping powers to cancel entire classes of visas during crises, whether pandemics, wars, or country-specific situations. Officials argue that such flexibility is essential for national security and border management. But what's driving this focus on Indian applicants? Government data shows a surge in asylum claims from India, rising from fewer than 500 a month in mid-2023 to over 2,000 by July 2024. Authorities say this influx, coupled with growing concerns over document fraud, has slowed down processing times and strained the system. The average waiting period for visa decisions has climbed from 30 days last year to over 50 days this summer, and approvals have dropped sharply. In fact, Canada rejected nearly 3 in every 4 Indian student visas this August, up from just 32% a year earlier. Officials blame fraudulent applications. Last year alone, they found more than 1,500 fake student visa files linked to Indian applicants. This has sparked outrage from civil society groups who say the new powers could create a mass deportation machine and unfairly target specific nationalities. Immigration lawyers are also raising red flags, arguing that Ottawa may be using this as a shortcut to reduce its mounting visa backlog. Canada's Immigration Department, however, defends the move. In a statement, it said stricter screening has already led to a 97% drop in illegal border crossings from the US into Canada. Proof, they argue, that the system is working. The timing of this proposal is particularly sensitive. Ottawa and New Delhi only recently began rebuilding ties after relations hit a historic low in 2023. That was when former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused India of involvement in the killing of a Sikh separatist, a claim India denied. Since then, under Prime Minister Mark Carney, both sides have reopened diplomatic channels. Foreign Minister Anita Anand even visited New Delhi last month to discuss trade and energy cooperation, signaling a slow thaw. But this new visa controversy threatens to strain relations, once again putting Canada's image as a global education hub and its economic ties with India under renewed scrutiny. So that's all in World in Focus for today. Follow the Finance 360 for more.